for the main task, the radio, advert and also the poster. So what we've learnt for the main task about the form is that lines that evoke tone and feeling are very important. Also, the use of diagonal lines can be very directional elements in a film. So they have the power to draw the eye to a key focal point in a shot and also create points of interest as they intersect with other lines and often give images depth by suggesting perspective. Medium shots and medium close-up shots of the interviewee are used as well as direct address, and this is because it breaks the wall between the interviewee and the audience, so it seems as though the interviewees are actually talking on a personal level with the audience. The use of handheld cameras are also common because it adds realism to the documentaries. The documentaries often have a musical score or soundtrack playing in the background, and the genre of the music depends upon the theme of the actual documentary. We've also learned that it's important to include personal experiences to incorporate the gratification of personal identity. Okay, now moving on to genre. So what we've learnt is that documentaries have developed to keep pace with the audience trends. So they have adapted to attract the mass market, as it is believed that audiences are now switched off from current affairs, and therefore documentary makers have to adapt their style in order to attract the mass market, while still raising awareness for the issues in society. We also researched into the modes of documentaries, and we've chosen to use the expository, I think that's how you pronounce it, mode. The conventions of this mode are that the interviewee speaks directly to the viewer, often in the form of an authoritative commentary, and the interviewee usually has an engaging voice who proposes a strong argument and point of view. The documentary is factual, including statistics, which incorporates the gratification of information. Rhetorical questions are also used to engage the audience, and again, it includes the gratification of social interaction, because the audience will speak about the topics brought up in the documentary with their friends and family. During the interviews, there is usually direct address, like I said earlier, and also persuasive techniques are used to reinforce the interviewee's point of view and opinion. So finally, the technical research into the main task. What we learnt from this was that it's extremely important that we know our equipment well, so that we don't get confused or do something wrong when actually filming. So then that will take less time, so it's more efficient. We've also learnt that we need to do sound checks and understand exactly what we have to do, again for the same reasons, and we decided that boom mics and lapel mics are what we will most likely use because they're typically good for interviewing. For lighting, we have decided that we will use key light, tail light and also possibly a fill light or reflector on our interviewees. And like the sound, we need to practice with this so we have a rough idea of how to set it up before we actually start filming. And finally, we have learnt that it's important to record wild sound, so that if we're not consistent when actually recording the sound, we can smooth it out when looking at the audio. And to do this, we need to do an ADR after the interviews are shot for at least a minute.
Thanks, Liv.
Okay.
Okay, I've done some poster things and what we've learned and what we're looking at the moment. So far it's very clear that the most successful posters are eye-catching and intriguing, and it must appeal to the target audience, which means that we must include elements into the poster which will entice the audience and make them examine the poster and take in all its information. Successful posters are also convincing and they communicate well with the target audience, so a cluttered poster is not very good. It doesn't really communicate with the audience promptly. A good poster is simple, easy but effective, so it has one main image and like all the institutional credits at the bottom of it. Another characteristic of a successful poster is one that effectively utilises colour. So a poster that incorporates colour is also guaranteed to attract the audience. However, the colours used must fit well within the documentary's content. So as our documentary is based around the pressures of appearance and body image, we've considered to use faded colours in order to connote the loss of confidence people feel about themselves. The lack of bright colours create a sophisticated aesthetic which will target our mature audience of 25 plus and in class B to C1. In terms of advertising our poster, we've discussed using a billboard placed in London, as it's a large city and will provide us with a large footfall. in the UK, 54% of the population live in a city like London, and 2/3 of UK workers commute into cities daily. So this would guarantee a majority of people seeing our poster on a daily basis. We have yet to discuss the number of billboards we'll use. And we must find out the prices of it. So hopefully we'll be working with JCDecaux for our billboards. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Okay.
Why did I laugh?
So I did what we've learned so far about the radio advert, and so firstly we looked at Firstly, we looked at a glossary so that we could understand all the different terminology, so that the process of recording and planning would be a lot easier. For example, like a bed is the music behind a voice announcement, and a call out is a gradual fade of the bed music at the end of a sequence, so like at the end of an advert. The average length of a radio advert often depends on the product itself, but on average it's about 40 seconds. And the voice that's used most of the time is English, because it's a universal language. It needs to be lively and positive, so it's engaging and actually grabs the attention of the audience. And it's normally a female voice because they're stereotypically more gentle and they have a higher pitch, so they're more attractive, like grasp the audience. They often take extracts from a documentary in a radio advert for a documentary, because then the audience can familiarise themselves with what they're hearing. It's the same concept with the music that's used, and it's stereotypically a music bed, so that it fills the silence, and it's often instrumental, because words can be too distracting. And again, they use the same music that will be used actually throughout the documentary, so that the audience can familiarise themselves with it. The content, so what's actually in the radio advert, the title of the product is stated at the end, and the information like the date and time and locations and stuff is normally quite short and quick. And humour's often used, but we were thinking that for ours, because our documentary focuses around quite a serious topic, that we would avoid that, because it's not really a light-hearted thing. From the ancillary form research, we have decided that we need to use local stations as we're independent. However, we want to base it around London, so because it's a really popular city, and although it would be difficult to get broadcast there, as they are mainly large stations, and all stations have limited time for their adverts, so we are expecting some difficulty there. Alternative music often appeals to younger audience, so we need to bear that in mind when picking different stations. Some stations that we've looked at include Kiss FM, LBC and Capital. Kiss FM has a younger audience, which is quite similar to our primary audience.
Similar.
We decided that LBC wouldn't be right for us, because the audience is quite a bit older and they look for things to relate to, and although we do want our audience to be able to relate, we want it to be a younger audience who can relate to it. And Capital has a sister station called Capital Gold, which would be perfect, because although it's less known, there are more opportunities for advertising, and with its link to Capital, we could get more promotion from that. We also found out through surveys that have been taken that a large majority of the population listen to the radio. So 67.2% of our primary audience listen through a digital platform, and 45.5% of our secondary audience listen through a digital platform. So our radio advert could be a really good way of reaching out to our audience. We'd need to find cheap advertising, because we're a new campaign, a new product, so and we've also seen that a really good way of attracting the audience is to attend events with the target audience who will be there. So for example, for us, like the Clothes Show Live, because the majority of people who go there are within our target audience, and it's all about like the modelling world and clothes and stuff, and that's something we're focusing on.